my favorite saying in the world is, you can't read the label when you're sitting inside the jar.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? That's the expertise trap. If you've been working on a challenge, a problem, a relationship, an industry for more than 6 months, congratulations, you are now an expert, which means that you know what works, you know what you can afford, you know what's legal, you know what you've tried in the past, you know what your boss really wants you to do, you know. And the more you know, the harder it is for you to see possibility when it's walking right in front of you. So the first thing I say to CEOs when they say we need to start an innovation group is try to find someone that has solved problems that you're facing in parallel ways in different industries, because they can take their experience and bring a certain amount of naivete to the challenge that will allow them to see possibility while the rest of the folks on their team are still looking at the same old problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Disruptors start with hate. That's another, I just like, again, your book is just chock full, like every page I'm underlining and I'm dog earing the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
Like, talk to me about that. Disruptors start with hate.
Just these lob pitches. Thank you so much. Okay. Barry Calpino, God rest his soul, ironically went to the same high school I did, but I met him in a brainstorm at Snoqualmie Falls about 15 years ago. I was hired as the idea monkey in the room. I was a trained brain. I was the guy who's doing, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? I think it was a shaving cream project. And I once heard him say, embrace the hate to innovate. And if you think about it, the more we hate something, the person that can come along and fix that problem, the more disruptive it's going to be. And here again, the challenge in companies is we think about what our customers love about us, and it's scary to go into the boss or say, we're really not good at this. Our industry sucks at solving this problem. Meanwhile, your customers or would-be customers like going, come on, somebody, please fix this. So disruptors have the ability to find things that are really hated by the world and going, I'm going to be one that fixes this. So, meanwhile, most companies are set up to do incremental changes. They just make what they've done yesterday a little bit better today. That's what business operators are really great at doing. And in walks a disruptor. It says, what about this thing that everybody's been complaining about and you say is impossible to fix for the last 20 years? I'm going to work on that.
Are people born, in your experience, in your research, in your work, have you seen that, a disruptor was also the kid in high school that would, cause trouble, and the kid that was always couldn't stay still? It's like, or is this something that people just find something where they say, this is dumb and I can make this better, and they become a disruptor? Like, It's
a great question. I started a company called Flourish Advisory Boards about 3 years ago. And my intention, if you've been in a forum or a peer group or a mastermind, I've been in them for 25 years. The greatest decision I ever made as a business person was to join a forum. And I have such wonderful friends, and more importantly, have been gifted with hundreds and hundreds of years worth of wisdom. Because forums bring you wisdom. People say, I did this and it was painful, so just telling you, which is a great way to, avoid getting intelligent. Getting intelligent is painful. And so Flourish Advisory Boards, what I've done is I pick 6 different types of C-level leaders and I test them. And there's an operator, a strategist, a rainmaker, a visionary, a tech futurist, and an orchestrator in every room. They all run P&Ls. And what I've noticed, to your question, is they disrupt differently. So what they do is they see a problem through a different lens. Just one example is a great operator can be a disruptor. Like Jack Welch was a great disruptor, but he crunched numbers. His go-to punch was about squeezing and KPIs and metrics. Branson, who's also a great disruptor, is a visionary. He'd be in the visionary seat. He disrupted by completely changing markets. So I think there are hacks to becoming a great disruptor, and really Plan D gives you kind of the keys to the castle, like how people disrupt and you can, put on that disruption coat through a framework or something else and be just instantly disruptive. You just have to be intentional about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Your book, Plan D, I want to say was written a few years ago when if I read the copyright correct, but it's germane to today. But one thing I wanted to ask you about is you specifically call out medical, dental, and veterinary care as ripe for disruption. Do you still hold that same stance today, or are there other industries that you feel are even more ripe for disruption?
Yeah, sadly and ironically, when I wrote the book, I had been married for about 28 years. And just after writing the book, my wife was diagnosed with brain cancer.
Mm.
And so I got to experience healthcare on the front lines, and it is not pretty
Nope.
in the US. So I stand by that there is great opportunity and need for disruption. And what I will tell you is oftentimes the disruption is hindered by rules or accelerated by rules. So COVID dramatically increased innovation because the rules were out the window. We have to do something. And if you look at vet med, who that is not encumbered by as many rules as human medicine, disruption is happening there that could happen in human medicine. So I stand by that. All three of those are right for disruption.
Yeah. How do we all know that the healthcare system is broken. It's just so overburdened with extraneous costs and wait times, and it's just broken. I spent 25 years in the pharmaceutical business before I became an entrepreneur, so I saw it firsthand. My father was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago, and watched him go from doctor to doctor, to visit to lab, to it was just ridiculous, just ridiculous to watch all of the superfluous stuff he had to do. How, though, can that industry, if we talk specifically about the medical field, because the medical field that I worked in is so entrenched by, medicine, the AMA, American Medical Association, the lobbyists are probably the best funded lobbyists of any industry. How, and there is a status quo that is being protected fiercely by the powers that be, because there's a lot of money that's being made. There's a lot of money exchanging hands. And how do you come in and disrupt something? Like Uber, they disrupted the taxi industry, and that was not easy. And there was physical violence involved in that whole story and everything. But they were able to do it because they didn't have as strong as lobbying. And how do we disrupt the medical system that is trillions of dollars in value?
Yeah, well, it's a big question, and I don't want to. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Sure.
I have all kinds of things to say about this, but I don't want to take up too much time. So let me just take a few things. So, number one, I've already said to embrace the hate to innovate. So starting with a need, innovation is different than invention. Invention is having an idea and then asking people if they need it. Innovation is finding a need that's worthy of our talent and time. And then and only then coming up with a new product or service or business model that meets that need, and then launching it in a way that people go, oh my gosh, thank you. So I would posit that on the front lines, nurses and consumers have plenty of needs that need to be solved, or that they're wishing to have solved. So starting there, ranking those needs, and then going and looking outside medicine for ways that those have been solved, and then bringing them back. So Bill Gates said, I've lost a lot of money by trying to change human behavior. And when one of the richest men in the world is worried about losing money, I pay attention. Yeah. So what you want to do is find behavior that's already happening that solves that need outside the medical industry and bring it back to them. That's one way. Another way is to look at other countries and what they're doing. Because if it's accepted there, it's easier to adopt here. What I wouldn't do is I would not ask doctors about this.
Yeah.
So often the well-intentioned experts in an industry are the very ones that are blocking it from changing.